In this video, let's start with my Spring Boot REST API. At first, let me to create a project. To learn Spring Boot REST API, you must have STS plugin. This is the Spring Boot tool suite. If you don't have a Spring Boot tool suite, you can install it. You can see here in the workspace. It is written here Spring Boot tool suite 4.0. That's what it is writing here. So you need the Spring Boot tool suite. Let me to create a project at first. Go to File, New, and create Spring Boot Starter project. Then after that, let's say for this is REST API application now. Let me to write REST CRUD. I'm taking it as REST CRUD. Okay, then everything is looking fine. Here we need to take Lombok API. At first you need to search here Lombok. I don't want to write the setter getter to string manually by my own. That's why I'm using this. If you are interested, you can use like this. You can search multiple things as like I want to use the REST API. So you need to search here Spring Web. You need to search here Spring Web. Without Spring Web, you can't work on this. And then let me to use MySQL driver. Maybe in the future I may require all these things. And that's it. I don't want to use Spring Data JPA because I'm not interested to teach here Spring Data JPA. That's why it is fine for this. Let the project to be built. It is building. You can see here import getting started. Wait, it is building. 37% is there. Where is the project? I think this is the project. Yeah, the project has been created. Uh, for this, let me to create a class first. I'm creating one class known as controller. Let me to create a class name as controller. Here, this class is a type of controller class. This is a controller class. To tell my IOC container that this class is a controller class, we need to write here @REST controller. Let it be import. This is @REST controller. This annotation is combination of two part. We can say that, let me to write here in the comment. Don't write here. Let me to write here inside this. Go one line down. @REST controller is equal to @controller plus @response body. What all these things are, I'm telling you, don't need to worry about this. Here I am writing @REST controller. It is combination of two annotation. The first annotation is @controller and the second annotation is @response body. Understood? Here in Spring Core we are using one annotation. Then the annotation was @component. This is @component. The purpose of @component is whenever we are writing @component, that class object will be created and stored in the IOC container. That is the purpose of @component. In Spring Boot, every annotation has some specific task. The task of @component was, you can write, if you want to write it in the notes, you can write it. Whenever you will write @component to any class, it is a class level annotation. Whenever you will write @component over any class, here I am writing @component over controller class. My class name is controller here. So I am writing here @component at the top of controller class. So this class object will be created and stored in the IOC container. This is the purpose of @component. This @component is splitted into three parts. This component is splitted into three parts. Three annotation came which is derived from component. Repository plus controller. These three annotation are there. These three annotation are derived from component. So whatever the purpose of this component is, the same task service will do, at the rate repository will do, and at the rate controller will do. It means whenever you will write at the rate controller to at the top of your class, that class object will be created and stored in the IOC container. This is the this is the way of at the rate controller. This is the use of at the rate component. Then to make our class as controller class, you need to convince to your Spring Boot application, hey Spring Boot application, I want to make this class as controller. This will control all the API call. So we need to make this class as at the rate controller. I need to remove this at the rate controller. Let me to write this at the rate controller. This is at the rate controller. Just remove this control shift O. Annotation can't be resolved. Okay, it's okay. Let me to remove this and keep it again at the rate controller. Here you can see it is directly coming with the help of package name. But if you are not interested, then go and import that package. Understood? Let me do write it. Control C. Go one line down. Import. Paste it here. And write here only at the rate controller. What is the problem? This is not annotation type. What is the problem? At the rate controller. It is coming now. It is coming fully qualified name. The package name plus dot class name. But you can specify on that. Understood? Here I am writing at the rate controller. Then let's say whenever the API will call, you will get some response, as like when we are searching some data in the internet, we will get some response as like let's say I'm searching anything. What I am searching, let's say I'm searching ambient repository just for the basic purpose. You can see I'm getting some response. Here you can see I'm getting some response. This is select field. This what is what new like this. There is popular categories like this. What is this? These all things are known as response. We are getting some response, but in which phase we will get the response, we need to specify. That's why we will use response. Response. So response body. Understood? We need to specify response body. Oh, sorry. We need to specify response body. So we need to write here at the rate response body for that. Understood? So at the rate response body will specify that which type of output you will get. It can be either plain text, it can be JSON, or it can be in XML format. These all are the response type. Understood? So you need to write two annotation here. The first is at the rate controller and the second is at the rate response body. Instead of using all these two, you can directly use at the rate rest controller. Let me to remove and let me to write Control Shift O. And I have imported this package. You can see at the rate rest controller, as I have told, at the rate rest controller is combination of two annotation. The first annotation is at the rate controller and second annotation is at the rate response body. It is combination of both two. That's why we are writing here at the rate rest controller. Now to get some data or to fetch some data, as like let me to create one employee class. Employee class is there, EMPLOYEE. This is my employee class. This is just like my Pojo class. That's why I need to give some let's say I am giving at the rate data. This is Lombok API, nothing else. Whenever you will write at the rate data, you will get all the getters and setters like this, all things. That's why it is saying no args constructor, no control O. It is giving compilation error. Why? Because I am not giving any field. That's why it is giving compilation error. Whenever I will give private int id, the compilation error will be gone. You can see compilation error gone. This is just because of I have not given any variable or field. That's why it is giving name private double salary. These all things I want to write here. This is just like my Pojo class. If you are not interested in Lombok API, then directly you can remove this and you can write here generate constructor, right click, go to source, generate constructor using fields, generate getter, setter, generate toString. These all things are there. If you are interested, you can write. But I am using Lombok API. Understood? That this is my code. Then after that, let's say I want to insert one data in my database. For that, I need Spring Data JPA, no? But I have not used this. It's okay. Let me to create one method. Public string get hello. This is my first API call. Here I am writing return hello API. This is my program. This is just a simple method that I have created. For that, I need to get the method can be of get or post type. Get or post. Get means here get means we are retrieving data. Retrieving data means select star, we will get some result, we will get some output. It means retrieve. To retrieve the data, we will use get mapping, we will use get. And to send the data to the server, to send the data to server, we will use post. Understood? To get the data from the server, we will use get mapping, and to send the data to the server, we will use post mapping. Understood? Here I want to get the data from my, whenever my API will be called, I want to get the data. That's why I will write here get mapping. Understood? This is get mapping. After that, I need to pass some URL that it should work on which URL. My URL is, let's say, /hello. This is my URL. I want to get the data and using /hello. Just my program has been created. I don't require to do anything. Let's say, let me to go and run my Spring Boot application. Here is run as Spring Boot application. But it will not launch the Chrome. You need to launch it explicitly. And Spring Boot is, it is saying one problem. What is it? Is web server already 8080 is already in use. It's okay. It is saying that my port number is already in use. Previously I was working on Spring MVC. That's why maybe server port number server port number is already in use. That's why it is giving. Let's me to write 8082. That's it. Whenever you will use Spring MVC, automatically you will get inbuilt it, you will get the Tomcat server. You don't need to configure the Tomcat server. Automatically it will give it to you. Understood? So as you know that I am writing a REST API application. For running a REST API application, I need a Tomcat server. Spring Boot application will provide a Tomcat server inbuilt. If you want to see, go to pom.xml. And this is Spring Boot starter web. Let me to open this. Why it is not opening? You can see. Let me to go inside it, and then let me to, here you can see this is giving me Tomcat. This is inbuilt Tomcat. I don't need to configure anything. Automatically Spring Boot will provide the Tomcat server. And if you don't believe, go to console. This all are the log files that is pasted here. You can see here one log is there. Tomcat server start on 8080 with context slash. Slash means it will accept any type of URL. In the starting, it will take any type of URL. You can see Tomcat server is running on port number 8082. It means Tomcat server is inbuilt given by the Spring Boot application. So as you can see, my Spring Boot application is still running, but you won't get any output. To get the output, open the browser. Let me to open it. Open the browser. Here search http://localhost. My port number was 8082. My port number was 8082. And what was my URL? I have given the URL as hello. Let me to write hello. Here you can see hello API is there. You can see it is giving me the output. I'm not configured very much complex things. I've just written one class. I'm writing at the rate REST controller. I'm writing at the rate get mapping, and then I am getting some data. That's how we are calling the REST application in the basic form. So let's say I want to send one employee class data. Here you will get this is get mapping. Let me to whatever we are searching here I am searching here in the form of get mapping. You can see my method is get type, and what I have said in the get means we will retrieve the data. If we want to send the data to the server, we need to write the post mapping. Let me to change it to post mapping, post mapping, sorry, post, control shift O, formatting. Now my Tomcat server is still running. You can see the red dot is there. It means my Tomcat server is still running. Let me to refresh it and you will get some error. Let me to refresh this. Wait. HTTP localhost 8080. Actually you are getting the output because I need to restart my Tomcat server. There is not any Spring Boot dev tool. That's why it is not automatically refresh Spring Boot application. Let it to run. Let it be run. Let it be running. I think it is running. Yeah, it is running. Let me to write this same. Let me to enter this, and you can see you will get some error, method not allowed. It means browser will support you only get mapping. If you want to retrieve the data, then browser will help you to retrieve the data. But if you want to send the data to the server, browser will not help you. For that you need to install one new application which is known as Postman. Postman is used for API testing purpose. This is application which is used to test a application. Whatever the web application we will create, we will test here. That's why we will use the Spring Boot application. Here you can see, let me to write here plus. I need to write here HTTP colon double slash localhost colon 8082 was my port number, and then my URL was /hello. That's why I'm writing it. And you can see it will give some problem, as like you have already got in the browser side 405 method not allowed. What is 405? You can see it is also giving 405 method not allowed. The same problem is because I am using here get. You can see it is get. That's why it is giving the problem. But as you are writing in the Spring Boot application that this method is post mapping, this is post, then how can you fire a get query? You need to change it to post. Here I am changing it to post, and then let me to run this and it will give the output. Here you can see hello API is there. Understood? This is the difference between get and post mapping. Get mapping is used to retrieve the data, but post mapping is used to send the data to the server. We can also send the data to the server or retrieve the data to the server by any of the two. Let's say I want to send the data to the server using get mapping. It is possible. We want to fetch the data using post mapping. It is possible, but it is recommended to use post mapping only, because post is a bit secure. You will get security in post mapping. How you will get security in post mapping, I will explain it in the future. Let me to concentrate on this, and mostly I will use post mapping. For post mapping, as I have already told you, my browser will fail. My browser only work on get mapping. It is not working on post mapping. So multiple times I need to work on the postman. This is post mapping. That's how we are writing it. If we want to send one student data, employee data, and here I have created a one employee class having ID, name and salary. If I want to send this data to the controller, then how can I use? Here I need to write one method public. Let its return type to be employee, and then let me to write insert method, insert employee. Actually I'm telling you in the starting that I'm not use Spring Data JPA. That's why I won't be able to insert the data in the database for now. In the future, I will explain it to you. Here, this is my method, public employee insert employee. This is my method, insert employee. Here, you can write here at the rate request body, at the rate request body, and inside the request body I am passing employee emp. This is my request body, and then I am returning here. How can you return this? Okay, return. I am returning here emp. It means user will give one employee object in response body. User will give one employee object on response body. This is request body. Request body means this method will take one parameter, and this parameter will be of which type? The parameter will be of employee type. I am writing here at the rate request body so that in the future I will get, here I am writing here ID name salary. Here I will get ID name salary. Whenever I will get ID name salary, automatically this ID name salary will be casted to employee class object. That's why I'm writing at the rate request body. It will bind all the it will bind ID name salary to a particular employee like this. That's why I'm using at the rate request body. Let me to write here at the rate post mapping. As I've told you, I will use this multiple time, and then I'm using insert. Let me to write this insert. As I have written one new method, let me to run it again. Let me to run this program. I'm just writing at the rate response body, nothing else. Let me to check. Yeah, Tomcat server is running. Let me to fire here insert. You will get some error. It is post mapping. You can see 400 is there. You need to remember some status code. As like I am writing insert 1. Whenever I will write insert 1, I will get 404. URL is not found. You can see here 404 is there. Here you can see 404 is there. 404 means there is any problem in your URL. Your URL is not your URL is not confirmed. Your URL is not found by your API. That's why it will give you the problem. But here you can see insert is there. Insert URL is there. You can see here I am writing here /insert. Insert is there. That's why I am getting another problem. 400 is there. This is not 404. This is 400. 400 means I need to pass some parameter here. You can see I need to pass some parameter here. But in that parameter, I am sending some data which is not of binding type. I am sending some data, but that data is not of bound type. Understood? That's why it is giving the problem. So what can I do? As you can see, it is taking one employee class object in input. It is taking one employee class object. So I need to send one employee class object. So go to body. This is param. I am not using param. Go to this body. You can see after header body is there. Go to body, go to raw, and then I need to write one JSON format data, because by default it is taking data in the form of JSON. ID, let's say 1, comma, name is there, na, name, double quotation, let's say Suraj. Let me to reduce this. Suraj Jha is there, and the third variable was salary, double quotation. Salary is of string types variable. What is my salary? Let's say 1 2 3 4 5. This is my salary. Now if I will send this data, you can see I am getting the data, and what is the response I am getting? Response is 200. 200 means request successful. You can see request successful. The server response has required. It means it is responded. My server is responding. Everything is fine. That's why I'm getting 200. 200 means okay. It means my server is working perfectly fine. There is no any problem. There is no anything. Everything is working perfectly fine. That's why I'm getting 200. Understood? That's how we are sending the data in the form of request body. Here I am giving one request body. Now that's why I need to go to the body. I need to go at body, go to raw, and then I need to select the JSON format. Here you can see I'm writing here in the form of JSON. You can use anything, text, JavaScript, JSON, HTML, like this. Let's say I don't want to write the JSON. I want to write only string string str is there returning. Let me to return here str, and let me to convert it to string. Control Shift O, Control S. Let me to run this program again. If you will change anything, then run it again. Otherwise, you will get the previous output. Understood? Let me to run it. Let it be run. Let it be running. Uh, you can say Tomcat server is running on 8082. Now it is running. If we want to send the data, it will give some error because there is no any employee data. Uh, Let me to create one new. Go to here, go at body. I don't want this. Remove this. I don't. Butterfly is there. It's okay. Just go here and write the same HTTP localhost 8082. But it was get. So get not post. That's why I'm writing here post. You will safely get 404 200 is there. Why it is giving 200? I want to insert now. Okay, it is not taking any type of request body now. That's why it is giving problem. I forget at the rate request body. Here at the rate request body, then writing string str. Understood? Now if I will run this program, let me to restart this program again. Let me to run it again. It is running, it is running, it is running, it is running, it is running. No, I think it is running. Now if I will send this, you will get some 400 type error. Why? Because it is demanding one value in the form in the body. It is demanding one value, but you are not giving any value. That's why it is giving the problem. Understood? You need to give some data. Go at body. None is there. I need to give raw. And then here write curly braces. I don't need to write curly braces here because I am not sending any data. Suraj Jha. Let me to run this, and you can see I'm getting status as 200. That's how we can get any type of data in the form of response body. Using response body, we can send any type of data. Basically, we are using response body multiple times instead of using request param or path variable. Let's say if I want to send the data in the form of request param, we can also use request param at the rate request param. Here I need to specify ID. Let me to give int ID. Understood? Then give comma. Here whatever the variable will be there, I need to write all the variables in the form of request param. ID, name, salary. So let me to go here and let me to write at the rate request param. In the bracket, name is there, string name, string is there, sorry, string name at the rate request param, salary is there, double salary was there, double salary. That's how we are writing this. And instead of doing this, I am writing employee. And here I am creating one object employee. EMP is equal to new employee, and I'm passing here all the things. What we are using request param to get the data. We will use at the rate request param to get the data from API. Understood? I will get the data from API. That's why I'm using the request param. User in the real time scenario, you in as like we are filling the Google form. None. In the Google form multiple fields are there, ID, name, roll number, branch, department, like all these things. Whatever the user will give the data, you will this request param will give the data to you. Understood? That's why we are using request param. Here in the request param, I am passing here ID, name, salary. But remember one thing. Wait. Here, here you can see the variable name is ID. So here inside the variable name should be ID only. Here it can be anything. Here I am writing int ID1. It is fine. It is not. It won't give any problem. But if you will write ID1 here, you will get some exception. That's why whatever the variable you have written here, the same variable should be here. In the entity class. Understood? After that, I'm passing it. Let me to run this again. Let me to run this Tomcat server is will be running. Tomcat server is running. Here, if you will send this to insert, it will give some exception. It will give 40400. Bad request. Why? Because it is expecting that you will give three input: ID, name, and salary. You will give, but you have not given anything. That's why it is giving 400. Now you need to go to the params, because I am writing here in the form of request param. You can see I am using @request param. So in Postman, one param will be there. Go at key. Key will be my variable name. My first variable is ID. Let me to write ID1. The second variable was name. Let me to write name Suraj Jha. And the third variable is salary. I'm writing here 1111.0. Let's say I'm writing here, and you can see automatically it is embedding in my system. Here I am removing one. You can see ID is equal to nothing is there. When I am writing one, automatically it is embedding. We don't need to write anything explicitly by my own. Whenever you will write ID in the form of key and value, automatically it will take. And when I will send this data, you can see it is giving the data. Understood? And the response is, you can see the response is 200. It means request successful. You can see like this we will send the data in the form of request body. Request param. But if you are not interested to use this request param, you have I have one more thing: path variable @path variable int ID, comma @path variable. You can use @path variable. I don't want to use this path variable for now, because if I will use path variable, the video will be a little bit lengthy. Don't worry, I will explain @request param and @response body again. You don't need to worry this. Thank you for